On Mid-Autumn Festival, I prepared a table full of dishes, waiting for Jiang Kai to come home. Jiang Kai didn't even glance at the food, just kept packing his bags by himself. He said coldly, "I can't spend Mid-Autumn Festival with you this year." I didn't say a word, just silently ate the crab. In the middle of the night, Jiang Kai's first love posted a moment right on schedule. In the photo, she was smiling brightly, leaning on Jiang Kai's back, with a bright, full moon visible outside the window. The caption read, "I raise my cup to invite the bright moon, with my shadow, we become a pair." I didn't launch into another hysterical interrogation, I just quietly gave it a like. Jiang Kai's call came through, a note of panic in his voice. "Don't overthink it. I promise I'll spend the Mid-Autumn Festival with you next time." After a few seconds of stunned silence, I gave a soft, quiet laugh and said nothing. "Next time, oh, Jiang Kai, there won't be a next time." By the time Jiang Kai got home, the holiday was already over. I used to meet him in the little garden, but not this time. A message from Jiang Kai came through. "Where are you?" I was having lunch and casually replied, "Eating at home." Not long after, Jiang Kai walked in, dragging his suitcase behind him. While changing his shoes, he said to me, "I'm hungry. Go make me a bowl of noodles and fry a sunny-side-up egg." Normally, I would have gone to fry the egg for him without a second thought, but this time I just spoke flatly. "I'm done eating. You should order some takeout for yourself." Jiang Kai shot me a displeased look, but he held back his anger and said, "I know you're still upset about what happened during Mid-Autumn Festival, but could you please not pick a fight with me right now? I'm really hungry." I turned back with a smile and said, "I'm not angry." Jiang Kai didn't buy it. She was all alone in Beijing, and it just happened to be Mid-Autumn Festival. I was just keeping her company for the holiday, simply being a good host. I replied flatly, "Yeah, I know." Jiang Kai looked into my eyes as if trying to see right through me. Then he lowered his gaze, suppressing his displeasure as he asked, "Is this really necessary? I'm exhausted today. I don't want to argue. Can you just be reasonable?" I met his gaze and explained patiently, "I'm not arguing with you. Are you finished? I need to go do the dishes." Jiang Kai fell silent for a long moment, then pulled a necklace from his pocket and handed it to me. Looking down at me, he said flatly, "A gift." The necklace had no packaging whatsoever, a stark contrast to the beautifully wrapped one she had flaunted on her social media. I didn't show a hint of delight, merely replying politely, "Thank you." After I finished speaking, I fell silent. A flicker of displeasure crossed Jiang Kai's eyes. "That's it?" he asked, annoyed. I replied calmly, "That's it." Jiang Kai's face turned ashen. He held his hand out in front of me. "Where's mine?" It suddenly dawned on me, and I said apologetically, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. Let me send you a red packet, you can go buy it yourself." With that, I picked up my phone and sent him a 200 yuan digital red packet. Jiang Kai's eyes widened in surprise, as if he hadn't expected me to forget. After all, I place great importance on a sense of occasion. Exchanging gifts during holidays and special occasions was our long-standing agreement. All these years, I've kept at it. I always went out of my way to get Jiang Kai a gift, even when he sometimes forgot to get me one. An awkward tension filled the air. I went to the walk-in closet to change, then opened the door to leave. Jiang Kai called out to me urgently. "Where are you going?" I replied calmly, "Just going out with the girls." With that, I closed the door, ignoring Jiang Kai's calls. Ever since I got together with Jiang Kai, I turned down all invitations because he once said he didn't like me running around. As a result, all my friends found me a buzzkill. Knowing I had strict rules at home, they stopped inviting me altogether. Finally, I can have a proper get-together with my besties. As we were leaving, my friends all complained to me, "We thought you ditched us for a guy. Don't do that again. No man is more important than your girls." I nodded in full agreement. "From now on, I'll be at every girls' night I can make. I promise." Ever since I got together with Jiang Kai, he became my entire world. I ended up revolving my entire life, both work and personal, around him, only to lose my own social circle and friends. Looking back now, it was a really unwise choice. I glanced at my phone and saw that Jiang Kai had returned the red envelope. By the time I got home, it was already 3 a.m. I turned on the light, only to find Jiang Kai sitting on the sofa. For a moment, I felt disoriented, even doubting my own eyes. Seeing me drunk, Jiang Kai didn't step forward to help. Instead, his face showed the exasperation of someone watching hopelessly as iron fails to become steel. He spoke with disdain. Jiangji, have you no self-respect? If you're jealous, just say so. A married woman getting this drunk in the middle of the night, is this any way to behave? My head was spinning, and I staggered to the couch. Leaning against the wall for support before collapsing into it, Jiang Kai caught a whiff of the alcohol on me and frowned almost imperceptibly. Didn't I tell you I don't like those friends of yours? Have you been out carousing with them again? Xie Ji and I aren't in the kind of relationship you're thinking of. We're just friends at this stage. You really didn't need to drink yourself into this state over her. Propping my head up, I retorted impatiently, you're reading too much into it. I just had a few extra drinks because I was having a good time with friends. Seeing me like this, Jiang Kai's voice grew irritable. Enough, I've already given you a way out. What more do you want? Don't push me. My patience has its limits. I'm not a saint who can indulge you endlessly. My head was pounding, and the sound of his voice only made it worse. I rubbed my temples. Are you finished? If you are, I'm going to bed. Seeing this, Jiang Kai took a deep breath, reined in his temper, and stood up to help me, but a final shred of reason held me back, and I avoided him. Staggering, I made my way into the guest room, locked the door behind me, and paid no mind to Jiang Kai's knocking from the hallway. That night, I fell into a deep, heavy sleep, one that felt unusually peaceful and sound. When I woke in the morning, Jiang Kai was sitting silently on the living room sofa. His face was terrifyingly dark, and I knew he was furious, but I didn't try to placate him. I just washed up and left the house. I went to the dance company and handed in my resignation. I had danced there before because it was close to home, making it convenient to look after Jiang Kai, but that's not necessary anymore. The dance company's instructors tried to persuade me to stay many times, but I firmly declined. Just last week, I heard back from the international resume I submitted. I got the job. Joining that dance company has been my dream since I was young. I turned it down before for Jiang Kai, but fortunately, it's not too late to chase that dream now. After resigning, I was handing over my remaining work and called my best friend to share the good news. She was thrilled for me, but after a moment of silence, she asked, "What about Jiang Kai? Did he agree to you going abroad?" I let out a light laugh. "No, he doesn't need to know. I'm going alone this time." Once I finished the handover at the dance troupe, I went to prepare the documents needed for going abroad. My parents are divorced. Back home, apart from a few childhood best friends, Jiang Kai is all I have. I used to feel that wherever Jiang Kai was, that was my home. But now, I have no home. I'm like duckweed, drifting wherever the current takes me, making wherever I land my home. After returning home, Jiang Kai was just about to head out, dressed in a sharp suit and a dark green tie. He cut an imposing figure. Seeing the birthday cake in his hand, I understood immediately. Today was Xiaji's birthday. Jiang Kai was on his way to celebrate it with her. He was on the phone, his voice brimming with delight. All right, stop guessing. If I told you what the gift was, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? Just wait for me to get there." Whatever was said on the other end of the line sent Jiang Kai into a fit of laughter, revealing his pronounced canine teeth. A simple smile from him was a rare sight for me. He had been smiling all along, but the moment he saw me, the smile vanished from his lips. Jiang Kai would grant Xiaji's every wish, yet he was too stingy to spare even a smile for me. His face darkened instantly. Without another word, he turned away from me in disgust. Then, he swiftly changed his shoes, leaving only the sound of the door slamming shut behind him. Too, I knew it. Jiang Kai was giving me the silent treatment again. We've had our share of Cold Wars before, and every single one was because of Xiaji. Whenever that happened, I'd be at a loss, scrambling to win him back however I could. Even if he never replied to a single message, I'd still be the one trying to warm up to his cold shoulder. But now, I just find a few foreign recipes online and practice making them at home. I need to get used to it in advance. While lying in bed, I saw Xiaji's social media post. "You gave me a birthday gift again this year. Thank you for always being by my side." In the comments section was a reply from Jiang Kai's buddy. "That's so touching. I'm happy to see Xia happy." I looked at the likes. All of Jiang Kai's close friends had liked Xie Zhi's post. Jiang Kai's friends have always looked down on me, thinking I was the one who came between him and Xie Zhi. Without me in the picture, Jiang Kai would undoubtedly be happier. Reading Jiang Kai's comment on the social media post, I couldn't help but admit his friends were right. There, Jiang Kai had commented, "Happy birthday, my little princess." I watched their sentimental display with a blank face. One of Jiang Kai's friends even commented, "Stop posting this, don't let Jiang Zhi see it." With her temper, she'd definitely make a huge scene. In the past, I had gently reminded Jiang Kai to keep his distance from Xie Zhi. After all, they were of the opposite sex, and it was better to avoid any appearance of impropriety. But Jiang Kai's friend called me petty and mocked me, saying I was controlling him too tightly, even trying to strip him of his basic right to have friends. Hearing this, Jiang Kai just tacitly agreed with his friend and then turned to scold me, saying that as a woman, I should be more magnanimous. I didn't do what Jiang Kai's friends expected. I just quietly closed the social media app, scrolled through some short videos, and fell asleep in bed. By the time Jiang Kai got back, I was already fast asleep. He woke me up, clearly annoyed. He yelled at me, "Jiang Zhi, your boyfriend is out late at night, and you don't even care. My friends' girlfriends are blowing up their phones non-stop. And you, not a single call. What's your problem?" I looked at him, confused. Not understanding what he was so angry about. I used to do the same thing, and he said, "I'm in a relationship with you, not a prison sentence. Please, give me some breathing room. I feel like I'm suffocating." Now that I've stopped keeping tabs on him, he turns around and accuses me of not caring. I have no idea what he actually wants anymore. But I didn't bring up the past. I just replied calmly, "You're out with your friends. What would it look like if I kept calling? You and Xie Zhi go way back. It's not like I have any reason to worry." A look of utter disbelief flashed in Jiang Kai's eyes. He was probably shocked that I could mention Xie Zhi's name so calmly and without a hint of resentment. A look of understanding flashed across his face, and he explained to me, "That social media post was just a memento, nothing more. Don't read too much into it." I shook my head, about to speak, but Jiang Kai cut in, "What is it? Or do you think I shouldn't have gone to Xie Zhi's birthday party? We've been friends for 10 years, we only dated briefly, and now we're purely good friends. It's only right that I attend a good friend's birthday celebration." I looked at Jiang Kai with understanding. "I know all that, it's late. You should go back to your room and get some rest." Jiang Kai fell silent. He stared at me intently, as if trying to confirm I truly wasn't angry. After a long moment, he found no answer in my expression. He reached out to wrap his arm around my waist, but I silently slipped away. I said flatly, "Will you take the master bedroom or the guest room?" A flicker of surprise crossed Jiang Kai's eyes. He couldn't believe I was actually refusing his advances, something I used to yearn for but could never have. Humiliated and angry, Jiang Kai slammed the door to the guest bedroom shut and stormed off to the master suite instead. The moment he left, I fell asleep almost instantly. Ever since I stopped letting my mind dwell on things, even falling asleep has become much easier. Early the next morning, the director of the dance troupe called me. Somehow, he had found out I was going abroad. He offered to see me off, but I quickly declined. He dropped the idea, then mentioned he had organized a get-together for the troupe to have a proper farewell. With him putting it that way, I really had no grounds to refuse. I didn't expect to see Jiang Kai there that evening, though. On second thought, it made sense after all. He's the director's nephew. Jiang Kai was accompanied by Xie Zhi. I never expected he'd bring her even to a casual class reunion like this. When Jiang Kai saw me, his gaze shifted in my direction, gesturing for me to join them. I pretended not to notice. They make such a perfect couple. I'd better not go over and disturb them. Upon seeing me, Xie Zhi flashed a provocative smile. Her defiant expression softened into one of apology as she looked at me. "Sorry for crashing your class reunion," she said. "I was just so bored. So Kai decided to bring me along." Jiang Kai opened his mouth several times, wanting to explain things to me, but the words never came out. I raised my glass politely. "It's fine, I don't mind at all." With that, I lowered my head and took a sip of my drink. During the meal, my phone kept buzzing with notifications, so I took it out to check. It was a message from Jiang Kai. I only brought her along as a matter of convenience. Don't read too much into it. 3. If it bothers you, I won't bring her next time. I scrolled to the bottom, and the final message read, "Let's head home together after dinner." I cleared my throat, looked down, and replied, "No need, you should see Xiaji home. I drove here." After that, I focused on my meal and paid no more attention to Jiang Kai's messages. The meal went by with everyone chatting happily, reminiscing about the old days. The station director, his eyes red from drink, stood up at the dining table, raised his glass, and said to me, "Back in the day, you were the best dancer in the country. Your dream was always to go abroad and join the finest dance company. Yet for some reason, you suddenly decided to stay here." After a pause, he continued, "But now, thankfully, you're going abroad, you can finally fulfill your dream. I'm truly happy for you. Here's to you. May your journey be smooth and your future bright." I smiled with a sigh of emotion, raised my glass, and downed it in one go. Jiang Kai's expression went blank, as if he had just heard something utterly unbelievable. "Uncle, what did you mean by what you just said? What about going abroad?" Speaking slowly and deliberately, Jiang Kai prompted the station director, who patiently explained. "You didn't know, Jiangxi is going abroad, barring any surprises. This is our last meal with her. It'll be hard to see her again after this." The station director was unaware of my relationship with Jiang Kai, so he wasn't surprised that Jiang Kai was in the dark. Jiang Kai's eyes turned bloodshot at the words. He scrambled to his feet and dragged me outside without a second thought. I stood in the corner, locked in a silent standoff with him. He was the first to break the silence. "Going abroad, what are you talking about? Why didn't you discuss this with me? Why didn't you tell me?" His voice trembled, his eyes filled with disbelief and fear. It took me a moment to respond. "Oh, you mean that," I said, "when I found out you were with Xiaji at Disneyland, I didn't want to bother you." My tone was distant and polite, instantly creating a chasm between Jiang Kai and me. Hearing this, Jiang Kai looked visibly awkward, yet he took my hand and said, "No matter what, I'm still your boyfriend. You should share things with me." I nodded in surprise. In the past, I used to tell Jiang Kai everything, down to the smallest detail. Jiang Kai said impatiently, "I'm not interested in your business. Don't send me this nonsense and clutter up my phone's storage." Jiang Kai let out a barely perceptible sigh. After a long silence, he asked, "How long will you be gone?" I thought for a moment and decided to lie to Jiang Kai, maybe 2 or 3 years. I never intended for him to find out about this. "Today was just an accident," Jiang Kai exclaimed in surprise. "That long?" I lowered my head in silent admission, and the atmosphere grew tense. Jiang Kai suddenly let out a sigh. Looking at me, he said, "Let's go home together in a bit." After Jiang Kai finished speaking, his eyes sparkled with anticipation, waiting for my response. Just as I was about to refuse, Xiaji emerged from the private room. She gazed at Jiang Kai with a dazed look, her entire body leaning into his arms, unsteady from the drink. Jiang Kai glanced cautiously at my reaction, trying to push Xiaji away, but found he couldn't budge her. He blurted out in a fluster, "Xiaxia's drunk. We never have any physical contact normally." There was nothing to it, but his explanation only made it seem more like a guilty conscience. I nodded understandingly. "Yeah, I know," Xiaji slurred, her words thick with drink. "Ekai, I'm so dizzy, could you see me home?" The scent of alcohol on her breath wafted against Jiang Kai's neck. Yet, Jiang Kai didn't flinch away, only a flicker of resignation crossed his face. He'd clearly said he disliked the smell of alcohol, but if it was Xiaji, it somehow didn't seem to matter. Instead of responding to Xiaji, Jiang Kai turned his gaze to me. "Wait for me a moment, will you? I'll call him a ride, and then we can go home together." Before I could even respond, Xiaji let out a few more soft, plaintive murmurs from within Jiang Kai's embrace. She nestled her head against him affectionately, the gesture looking all too practiced and familiar. Seeing this, I spoke in a flat tone. "Don't bother, she clearly needs you more. I'll just head home by myself." Just as Jiang Kai was about to say something, I stood up, bid farewell to the others, and strode out of the restaurant. Jiang Kai wanted to catch up with me, but Xiaji clung to him, refusing to let him go. I called a designated driver to take me home. I had some drinks today, and my head is feeling a bit fuzzy. Sitting in the back seat, I watched the night scenery outside the window, which suddenly began to blur. A few tears fell against my will. It's almost laughable, really. I've lost count of how many times Jiang Kai has left me behind for Xie Ji. Over time, I just got used to it, watching the couples strolling hand in hand on the street. I was suddenly reminded that Jiang Kai and I used to be like that too. As the car drove further away, the image of the couple holding hands grew fainter, and my memories with Jiang Kai began to blur as well. After I got home, Jiang Kai sent me a message to check in. I've taken Xie Ji home. Xie Ji has been throwing up. I might not be able to come back tonight. I stared blankly at the screen. As far as I could remember, this seemed to be the first time Jiang Kai had ever checked in with me. Back then, even asking Jiang Kai how many people were at the party would make him think I was just looking for trouble. Do I really need to give you a detailed report for everything I do? Don't you find a relationship like this exhausting? Later, it took me a long time to calm Jiang Kai down. He kept emphasizing that I shouldn't interfere in his affairs. I replied to Jiang Kai flatly, "Fine." Jiang Kai explained to me yet again, "It's only because she kept throwing up, and it's so late now, that I let her stay. Please, don't read into it." I replied with a flat, indifferent, "Okay." After that, Jiang Kai didn't send any more messages. That night, I was in the bathroom, vomiting over and over. I wasn't the only one who got drunk at that party. Xie Ji wasn't alone in that. I'm used to drinking beer, so I was surprised when just a little bit of baijiu got me drunk today. I was up sick until late at night before I finally made it back to bed. I tossed and turned all night, which left me with dark circles under my eyes the next day. Jiang Kai came home around noon, just as I was eating the clay pot kanji I'd ordered. In the past, if I ordered takeout, Jiang Kai would have scolded me for eating junk food, but today, he surprisingly came over instead. "Is it good?" I looked at him in surprise and nodded. Sitting at the table, he looked into my eyes and said, "You have no idea how much trouble it is to look after a drunk." As soon as she sobered up, I came straight home. I could hear the guilt in his voice, but I chose not to call him out on it. "Oh, well, you've had a long day then," I said calmly. A flicker of discomfort crossed Jiang Kai's face. He hadn't expected me to be so agreeable. His smile at the corners of his mouth was stiff. "My buddy Housie and his girlfriend are having their engagement party tomorrow. I'm invited. Come with me." I looked up, surprise flickering in my eyes. In the past, Jiang Kai would never have thought to bring me to an event like this. Because all of Jiang Kai's friends disliked me, he always brought Xie Ji instead. If this were before, I would have jumped at the chance and immediately started planning my outfit. But I just kept eating my kanji, expressionless. "Forget it," I said. "I won't go and ruin the mood for your friends." Jiang Kai's smile faltered, and the hand he had extended towards me froze mid-air. He awkwardly withdrew his hand and assured me, "You're my girlfriend, he won't have a problem with you." I looked up at him. To my surprise, his expression was completely earnest as he said it. I remember a time when his friends put me down, saying I was inferior to Xie Ji in every way. Back then, I had cast a pleading look towards Jiang Kai. Jiang Kai turned a blind eye to it all. When I confronted him later, he just said, "They're not wrong. You know, what kind of girlfriend can't even handle my friends? Pretty useless, if you ask me." But he knew perfectly well, how his buddies treated me was a direct reflection of how he treated me. As I cleaned up the takeout containers, I said, "I'm busy tomorrow. Why don't you ask someone else?" Jiang Kai stared at me in disbelief. He never expected me to refuse him so bluntly, let alone suggest he take someone else. I would have jumped at the chance before, but I wasn't lying to him. "I really am busy tomorrow. There's still a lot of paperwork for going abroad that I haven't sorted out." 5. The hope in his eyes faded, and the smile vanished completely from his lips. He asked me nervously, "What do you have to do tomorrow?" "Maybe I could go with you," I explained calmly. "Oh, I have to take care of my visa paperwork tomorrow. I really can't get away." "Your buddy's engagement party, it's only right that you be there. I'll be fine on my own." Hearing this, he looked at me and asked tentatively, "If you're not going, should I take Xie Ji instead?" In the past, just hearing the name Xie Ji would have made me fly off the handle. But now, I just smiled and said, "Sure, that's fine." He tried to find a trace of jealousy on my face, but couldn't find any. He couldn't help but ask, "Jiangji, why aren't you jealous at all?" I looked at him. thinking he was being strange. Wasn't he the one who used to hate it most when I got jealous? But I still said, why should I be jealous? She's your good friend, and she gets along with your other friends too. Of course you should bring her. He opened his mouth a few times as if to say something, but the words never came. In the end, he just uttered a single sentence. How about tomorrow morning? I'll drive you to take care of the paperwork first. I thought it over and decided not to refuse. My head was feeling fuzzy, and I really didn't feel like driving anyway. Having someone give me a ride wasn't such a bad idea. Seeing that I agreed, Jiang Kai reached out to take my hand, but I pulled away. His face was a mixture of confusion and displeasure. I began to explain. I didn't sleep well last night either. I'm going to catch up on some sleep. You should get some rest too. With that, and ignoring his look of surprise, I opened the door and went into the bedroom. Early the next morning, Jiang Kai was up and had breakfast ready. After we ate, he picked up his car keys, ready to give me a ride. As I settled into the passenger seat of Jiang Kai's car, a strange sense of unfamiliarity washed over me. It had been so long since I'd last been in Jiang Kai's car. Once, when I was caught in the rain without an umbrella, I asked Jiang Kai to pick me up. He frowned, looking genuinely puzzled as he said, "You're an independent woman, don't always rely on a man, what's a little rain?" I later saw on Xia Zhi's social media that Jiang Kai had gone to pick her up that day. From that day on, after I bought my own car, I had even fewer chances to ride in his. Jiang Kai was in the driver's seat. Worried I might be bored, he put on my favorite music and tried to make conversation. I just smiled and went along with it. We hadn't been driving long before Xia Zhi's call came through. Jiang Kai looked flustered, constantly glancing at me for a reaction. Seeing this, I said calmly, "Go ahead and answer it." 6. Xia Zhi's voice filled the car. "Hey Kai, I'm all packed. Come pick me up," Jiang Kai said in a rush. "Just take a cab yourself." Hearing that, I was taken aback. Jiang Kai actually refused Xia Zhi. Now that's something you don't see every day. Xia Zhi hadn't expected Jiang Kai to turn him down, but he wasn't ready to give up yet. "Hey Kai, you know how it is out here, it's too remote to get a cab. Besides, you always used to come pick me up, didn't you?" Xia Zhi pressed on. "If you don't come get me, I'll have no choice but to walk." A flicker of hesitation crossed Jiang Kai's face. In the old days, I would have already been told to get out of the car. Every time Xia Zhi needed him, he'd turn to me and say, "It's easy to get a cab here in the city center. But her place is out of the way. I should go pick her up. You can just grab a taxi." Sensing his hesitation, I spoke up thoughtfully. "Go ahead and get her. You can just drop me off at any corner up ahead," Jiang Kai said anxiously. "But what about you?" "Never mind, I'll take you all the way." With a relieved smile, I said, "I'll be fine taking a cab. Really, just pull over here by the curb." I pointed to the side of the road up ahead. Jiang Kai hesitated for a moment, but still pulled over. After getting out of the car, he said to me, "I'll be home early today." I nodded. He then looked at me with concern and asked, "Is it easy to get a taxi here?" "If it's too difficult, I won't go pick him up." I looked up and urged him, "It's fine. You should go. It would be so rude if you're late." Jiang Kai's car drove off, leaving a trail of exhaust in its wake. I went to take care of the paperwork. Staring at the date on my phone, I counted on my fingers. 5 more days, and I'll be going abroad. Back home, I was scrolling through short videos. In one clip, Haozi and his girlfriend were sharing a passionate kiss, while the people around them teased Jiang Kai and Xia Zhi. Haozi said to Jiang Kai with a laugh, "Bro, you need to get a move on too. A good woman is right by your side. You should cherish her." As he spoke, his gaze shifted to Xia Zhi, who blushed with embarrassment. Meanwhile, in the video, Jiang Kai appeared visibly unsettled. Just then, a message from Jiang Kai arrived on the phone. "Jiang Zhi, did you see that video? They were just messing around and joking. Please don't be upset." I replied, "I saw it, it's just a joke, I'm not angry." Jiang Kai didn't reply to any more messages after that, nor did he come home early. I didn't wait up for him. I just had dinner and went to bed. Jiang Kai didn't come back until almost noon. I didn't ask him anything, just sat on the sofa and said, "I didn't cook. If you're hungry, order some takeout." Changing his shoes in the entryway, Jiang Kai explained to me, "They were having too much fun last night and wouldn't let me leave, so I just ended up staying at the hotel." 7. Jiang Kai used to stay out all night often, but he never offered me an explanation. I gave a faint ham in response and went back to watching TV. After changing his shoes, Jiang Kai sat on the sofa, pinching the bridge of his nose as he asked, "When are you planning to go abroad?" "Next Monday," I said. "I've already bought the tickets." After he finished speaking, the air grew heavy with silence, which Jiang Kai was the first to break. He looked at me, his voice charged with emotion, and said, "Jiang Ji, I think we need to have a serious talk. I really can't stand this way of being together anymore." I looked back at him, puzzled, and asked, "What's wrong? What's the problem?" Jiang Kai always used to tell me to be more mature and understanding, so why isn't he happy now that I am? Jiang Kai frowned and asked, "Is it because of Xia Ji that you're acting this way?" I remained silent. He bit his lip and continued, "If you're bothered by my relationship with Xia Ji, I can end it for you. But please, don't be so distant and indifferent anymore, okay?" His eyes held a plea and a hopeful expectation, as if he had made a monumental decision. I spoke slowly. "You're overthinking it. I really don't mind anymore. Who you're friends with is your business. It's not my place to interfere." But I never expected that Jiang Kai would suggest cutting ties with him so easily. No matter how much we fought before, even when I threatened to break up, he never once considered severing contact with Xia Ji. He paused, staring intently at me. "I've already made a huge concession. If you don't believe me, I'll call Xia Ji right now." As he spoke, Jiang Kai took out his phone and dialed Xia Ji's number. Standing right in front of me, he put the call on speaker. Xia Ji's voice came through the phone, bright with delight. "Hey Kai, did you miss me?" Xia Ji's impulsive words instantly painted Jiang Kai's face with a look of awkwardness and panic. He quickly cut her off. "All right, Xia Ji, stop joking around." Xia Ji hadn't expected Jiang Kai to say that. She guessed this was probably how they interacted in private. She was stunned for a moment before Jiang Kai continued, "Xia Ji, we should keep our distance from now on. After all, I have a girlfriend." Xia Ji looked as if she'd heard something unbelievable, doubting her own ears. "Kai, what did you say? Say that again." Jiang Kai took a breath and said, "I said we should keep our distance. Do you understand?" Jiang Kai's voice rose, but Xia Ji's expression cleared with sudden understanding. "I get it now. Is your controlling girlfriend jealous? Why do you care about her? She's so petty, probably jealous of us because she doesn't have any friends of her own." With every word Xia Ji spoke, Jiang Kai's face grew darker. I couldn't even begin to imagine how much they must have badmouthed me behind my back. Jiang Kai said with irritation, "Enough, know your place. Jiang Ji is my girlfriend. It's not your place to interfere. Don't contact me again. Let's just part ways amicably." After saying that, Jiang Kai hung up the phone. Ignoring Xia Ji's pleas, the phone kept ringing, but Jiang Kai didn't answer. He just looked at me and spoke meekly. "See, I've cut ties with her. From now on, let's just focus on our own life together. I'll be waiting for you at home, and I promise I'll be good." He swore with 3 fingers raised, a gesture of his unwavering resolve. 8. I was stunned. I had planned to wait until the day I went abroad to bring up the breakup, but now it seemed I might have to do it sooner. I opened my mouth and said, "But I might not need you to wait anymore. We should break." Before I could finish, Jiang Kai put his hand over my mouth. I looked at him. His eyes were red and brimming with tears. A soft, rhythmic pattering sound came from the floor. It was Jiang Kai's tears falling. In the past, my heart would have ached for him, and I would have wiped his tears away. But this time, I did nothing, only watched in silence. So, even someone like Jiang Kai could shed tears for me. His voice choked as he looked into my eyes. "Jiang Ji, I'll go abroad with you." I knew it took immense resolve for him to say that. All his family and friends were back home. His career was thriving here, too. But if he left with me, he'd have to leave it all behind. I turned my face away. I thought I was past feeling anything. But faced with this moment, I was wrong. My heart still aches terribly. It's just that I struggled to get the words out, refusing him. "I'm sorry, Jiang Kai. Please don't do this." Jiang Kai stepped forward and pulled me into an embrace, his tears soaking through my shirt. "Jiang Ji, for you, I'm willing to give up everything I have back home. I want you. Please, take me with you." I'm a soft-hearted person, but this time, I pushed Jiang Kai away. "Jiang Kai, let's break up. We were never from the same world to begin with. I'm tired now. I want to go back to my own life. Jiang Kai's tears wouldn't stop, his voice hoarse. No, I don't agree. As long as I don't agree, we're not broken up. I let out a self-mocking laugh. You should be happy. In this relationship, you never wanted to share your life with me. You never wanted me to be involved. Well, starting today, no one will be. Jiang Kai grabbed my shoulders and pleaded. I promised. From now on, I want to spend every holiday with you. I brushed his hand away and smiled bitterly. It's a shame. But there is no from now on for us. Jiang Kai cried until he was hoarse. Clinging to me, saying he wouldn't accept the breakup and that he wanted to go abroad with me. In the end, I couldn't hold out against him and agreed. He held me, brimming with the joy of having me back. I savored this final embrace with a bitter sweetness. One morning, I quietly packed my bags and took one last look at Jiang Kai through the open door. He was still fast asleep. I whispered goodbye and took one last, wistful look at the house. Knowing it was likely the final time, I'm moving abroad, and I plan to settle down there for good. I took a taxi to the airport by myself, sat down in a chair, and waited to board. My phone kept buzzing with messages, all from Jiang Kai. Where are you? Where did you go? Why aren't you replying to me? The last one read, I'm at the airport. Where are you? I need to see you. Reading the messages, my eyes began to well up with tears. I didn't reply. I put my phone away. I didn't have the courage to see Jiang Kai one last time. After all, he was someone I once loved deeply. The constant pinging of messages went ignored. I sighed and headed for the boarding gate. A voice called out to me, Jiang Ji, how am I supposed to live without you? Jiang Kai's voice was hysterical, as if he had spent every last ounce of his strength. My spine stiffened, but I didn't turn around. I stepped through the boarding gate, took out my phone, and glanced at the messages. Jiang Kai said, Jiang Ji, you lied to me. I let out a bitter laugh and sent my final reply. You've lied to me so many times. It's my turn now. In the past, Jiang Kai had lied to me countless times, claiming it was just a casual get-together with friends and that she wouldn't be there. But I found out the truth every single time. All I remember is how much it hurt when I was the one being deceived. I wonder if Jiang Kai will feel the same sting this time. I landed abroad, and someone from the dance company was there to pick me up. I was settled into an apartment. It wasn't large, but it had everything I needed. I didn't reply to Jiang Kai's message. I blocked him, after all. With him no longer part of my future, there was no point in keeping him around. A year passed, and I gradually settled into life in the UK, making many new friends along the way. I've achieved the dream of my youth, but the dream of my adulthood never came true. I always dreamed of marrying Jiang Kai and building a family with him. Yet, that dream was doomed to be shattered. While I was at work, an unknown number called. It was from back home. 9. I knew it was him, but I answered anyway. On the other end of the line, he was crying so hard he could barely breathe. His voice trembled as he accused me. It's not 2 or 3 years, is it? You lied to me again. I paused, then said with a sense of finality, no, I'm not coming back. Jiang Kai, please don't call me again. The call ended, severing the last thread between Jiang Kai and me for good. Gazing at the towering buildings outside, I knew that from then on, our paths would run parallel, like two lines, destined never to meet. Story 2. The little puppy I've been supporting at a high cost for 3 years has been finding all sorts of excuses to quarrel with me frequently recently. This time, he disappeared for 5 days. Following the credit card consumption records, I came to a bar, then I heard him chatting with someone. Gary, the plane to pick you up has been here for 2 months, and you're still hiding and not leaving. Don't tell me you've really fallen for that old woman. Gary still looked gentle as ever. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm afraid she'll chase me back to B-City. I have to wear her down first so she'll give up and break up with me on her own initiative. I sighed. What a pity. It seems I can't use him to get resources anymore. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins, outside the private room, just as I was hesitating whether to pretend I didn't hear and get one last profit, or burst in and break up with him once and for all. A waiter walked up behind me. Excuse me, is there anything I can help you with? Suddenly, the door of the private box opened. I met Gary's face, which showed a flash of panic. I scanned him from head to toe, a suit, a watch, and shoes. I bought them all. Not one less. It was still the outfit he wore when he ran away from home 5 days ago, not a single scratch on his body. So I was completely relieved. I took a step forward, forced out some tears, and got into character in a second. Gary, what are you talking about? What B-City? What break up? Gary's face looked extremely ugly, but the person beside him spoke up for him. Our Gary's real identity is the eldest young master of the Jacksons family in B-City, with a net worth of tens of billions. If you know what's good for you, let go of him quickly. I pinched my palm again, looking at him with tear-filled eyes. Gary, is what he said true? As long as you say it's false, I'll believe you if you say so. Gary closed his eyes, his long and slender eyelashes fluttering non-stop, casting a shadow. He walked up to me. His 188-centimeter height was quite oppressive. Gary's fingers were well-defined. He touched my tears and then gently stroked my hair. I originally wanted to tell you myself. Why did you have to overhear it, sister? I slapped his hand away as if I couldn't accept it, covered my face, and turned to run. I rushed all the way to the underground parking lot, drove home, packed all of Gary's things, and then did a thorough cleaning. Whoosh dash, lying in the bathtub, drinking red wine, and looking at the night view, I thought dash, it's finally over. Actually, I knew Gary's identity from the first time we met. For a business person like me with a bit of ambition, not to mention the top 500 global companies, I can recite the names and photos of the big shots and their families in the top 50 domestic companies. When Gary sat next to me, I just thought the young master had come down to experience life. I really didn't expect he was selling himself. Sister, don't look at those cheapskates, look at me. Gary winked at me, his peach blossom eyes shining brightly under the lights. It scared me so much that cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I can't afford to mess with him, really can't. I glanced at the bulge of his chest under the laser-printed shirt and moved my eyes away with great difficulty. I don't keep anyone. Gary put his arm around my shoulder, drew a circle on my chest like a feather brushing across, and his breath was alluring. Sister, how can you be so sure without trying? I tried. The eldest young master of the Jacksons family. It is said that even after his mother cut off countless love affairs, there are still countless people vying to sleep with him. It really lives up to its reputation. He was really useful. Even when his mother suddenly came to H-City and threw a check in my face, I still felt I had made a profit. While Gary was taking a bath, I thought for a long time whether to expose Gary's act of selling himself or pretend not to know. In the end, I decided to slip away. Exposing it would be embarrassing, and not exposing it would mean I had to pay. I chose to be a heartbreaker. Unexpectedly, that afternoon, Gary came to my company. According to my secretary, a gigolo was spreading rumors at the company reception that I had had free sex with him and didn't pay. I went downstairs to take a look. Gary's eyes were alluring and charming, making my ears turn red. Oh, you put your pants on, sister. Under the peony flower, there is no free lunch. Gary is too expensive. I didn't dare to make a move. It cost me a lot of money and went through several rounds of inquiries to find out that the eldest young master of the Jacksons family had angered his mother and had his financial resources cut off, so he fled B-City. Looking at the man who had occupied my Nintendo and was absorbedly playing porn games on the carpet, I suddenly realized, so I was the long-term meal ticket chosen by Gary, so I pretended not to know Gary's true identity and stayed with him for 3 years. I watched myself sink deeper and deeper, clearly aware of it. I was secretly happy on one hand, and on the other hand, I was constantly worried about when the sword of Damocles hanging over my head would fall. I knew that there would come a day when his identity would be restored, and I also knew that if his identity was restored, he would definitely not be with me. I held this candy without knowing its expiration date, loving each day as if it were the last. I gave everything I had, fulfilling his every request, but Gary is really hard to support. He demands the top notch in everything from food, clothing, to daily use. Even though my company has been growing bigger over these 3 years, I myself am on the verge of bankruptcy. So this is the whole story of why you kept a boyfriend who only knew how to buy things and spent all your savings on him. You were really out of your mind because of love. My friend Laura was sitting with me in the bar, clinking our glasses. I didn't answer her, just took a sip of my drink. What else could I say? What kind of person is Gary? Big-chested, narrow-waisted, long-legged, and his face is so captivating that it could bring disaster to the country. When he sincerely says sweet words, he can charm anyone from 8 to 80 years old. I'm not a bodhisattva. 10-point flattery, 11-point sincerity. But none of this matters. I downed the cocktail in one gulp under the astonished gazes of everyone. What's the name of this drink? Bring me 10 more cups. On the way home, I sang loudly against the wind. I didn't know what song it was. When Laura helped me upstairs, I was so drunk that I was dazed. I only saw something squatting in front of my door, and there was a little bit of light flickering. I reached out to the fluffy hair. What a big dog. Come here. Come here. Gary crushed the cigarette butt, took me from Laura's hands, his voice hoarse, and it was hard to tell whether he was angry or not. Elizabeth. You changed the password. What's the new one? Leaning on Gary, I smelled the mixed scent of perfume and cigarettes on him and pinched his pectoral muscle. Gary, give me back my hard-earned money. Gary didn't react. How could he be so stupid? I took advantage and pinched his chest. The numbers corresponding to the initials of Gary. Give me back my hard-earned money on the 9-key keyboard. Gary opened the door with a dark face, before he could turn on the light. He almost tripped over several big boxes at the door. His tone was rarely embarrassed. You even set a trap at the door. I tried to think hard and then suddenly realized. Those are your things. You can take them away directly. Gary didn't say anything. He stepped over the boxes with his long legs and helped me sit on the sofa. Elizabeth, sister. He looked down at me from above, his waist bending little by little, the tip of his nose against mine, and his eyes becoming more and more complex. I tilted my head. Gary's voice was so low that it was almost inaudible. I'm sorry. I was speechless. Oh, I thought he was going to say something really meaningful. Sorry in a relationship means nothing. Since you chose to use me, why show true feelings? It's the same for you as it is for me. I let myself get drunk and pass out. I didn't sleep well that night. In my dreams, I always felt that someone was staring at me. When I opened my eyes, it was already bright. Sure enough. Gary was staring straight at me. Good morning, Tilda. I was a bit at a loss for words. Sir, you haven't left yet. It's kind of scary in the early morning. Gary didn't answer. He got up slowly and changed his clothes in front of me without any hesitation. I was too lazy to turn my head. There's no harm in taking a free look. You know what? Slurp. It's really big. Pink. Gary bent down and kissed my forehead, as if he had made up his mind. He regained his usual suave manner. Sister, I've thought about it. We don't have to break up. I stared at him blankly. I couldn't quite understand. What are you talking about? Gary stood up, with his back to the light. I couldn't see his expression clearly. Although your status can't make you my wife, you can be my mistress. In the future, I'll find a suitable woman for a business marriage. Besides the status of a wife, I can give you resources, money, and myself. Aren't you happy? Happy. Gary is much more generous than I thought. After the eldest young master of the Jacksons family, who had been in a relationship with me for 3 years, restored his identity, instead of breaking up with me, he actually wants to keep me at a high cost. How can this not be considered touching? I'm so grateful that I have no way to repay him. I stretched out my foot to kick Gary's crotch, but he grabbed my ankle. I couldn't break free and got angry. Get out. Gary wasn't in a hurry either. He put down my leg, and while tying his tie, he walked out of the door unhurriedly. Before leaving, he even gave me a wink. Sister, think it over carefully. In the living room, the things I had packed were all back in their original places, as if nothing had happened. Only the holes on the wall where the photos had been removed were barely visible. I sat on the sofa and covered my eyes. Love is really a harmful thing. 3 years ago, if it had been any other heir to a wealthy family, I would have run far away as soon as his hand touched my shoulder, not getting involved in any trouble. Just now, if it had been any other heir to a wealthy family, I would have obsequiously asked, are there any other colleagues? What are their preferences and taboos? I'll prepare some gifts to meet your sisters. My rationality has always told me what to do to maximize my interests. All I need to do is lower my head. But he is Gary, so my emotions are desperately arguing that we can both lose. But I can never accept the condescending favor of my lover. since I've sunk deeper and deeper into this pit, now I can only cut my losses in time. No matter how much I'm involved in a relationship dispute, I still have to go to work. I came to the company and had just sat down when I saw Gary's face again. "Good morning, boss." He acted as if nothing had happened, greeting me with a smile. "Oh, I forgot this scoundrel still holds the position of my assistant. Gary, you're fired." Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, I felt refreshed. This scoundrel Gary doesn't know the labor law and doesn't even know to ask the finance department for compensation. I repacked Gary's things, searched for the address of the Jacksons family's company, and sent them all at once. I also thoughtfully sent Gary's shared location, and then I blocked all his accounts. I don't care about this piece of broth anymore. A month later, the news of Gary's engagement spread all over the internet. My company is facing a cash flow shortage and is on the verge of bankruptcy. This is also my fault. Back then, in order to prevent me from fooling around, he insisted on being my assistant and accompanying me to business dinners. But everyone in the business world is a shrewd person. I'm not the only one who knows Gary's face. Gary's mother only said that no one was allowed to help Gary, but she didn't say that no one was allowed to help Gary's girlfriend. Over time, I got a lot of big orders that I couldn't reach before, but now, the uglier our fight is, the heavier the backlash. He's more ruthless than me. I just secretly used his face to get some small benefits, but he threatened that anyone who cooperates with me won't be able to enter the gates of the Jacksons family. I know he wants me to go to B City and beg him obediently. He underestimated me. Am I such a spineless person? At 3 a.m., I was lying in bed, counting the crystals on the crystal lamp on the ceiling 372 times. Then I drank a whole bottle of red wine to boost my courage. Finally, I dialed Gary's phone number. It rang for 45 seconds and then was hung up. No one answered. I called again. No one answered. I called again. Still no one answered. Damn it. I was so angry that I threw the pillow out and turned off my phone. Gary, just wait for a lose-lose situation. The next day, when I woke up from a hangover, my head hurt terribly. As soon as I turned on my phone, a call came in. It was an unknown number. When I answered, Gary's voice was rather resentful. "Sister, you're so petty. I just didn't answer your 3 calls, and you didn't answer my 300. The young master of the Jacksons family in B City really has a lot of influence." The Maybachs sent to pick me up formed a motorcade. "Elizabeth, now it's my turn to support you." Gary kissed my forehead at the door of the villa where he planned to keep me. The affection in his eyes was softer than the continuous white clouds in the sky. On the day we met, he introduced me to all his brothers at the club. "Hello, sister-in-law." His brothers were laughing and joking, almost each of them with a girl in their arms, as if they really gave me a proper status. How could that be possible? I looked at the innocent-looking girl in a sailor suit who was pouring wine for someone on my left, and then at the hot-tempered girl who was flirting with 2 people at the same time on my right. I didn't say anything. Gary obviously realized something too. His expression was flustered, and his forehead touched mine. "Sister, you're different from them." I lifted Gary's chin and kissed him. Thinking about that stack of contracts, I very much agreed. Indeed. I'm much more expensive than them. Upon hearing this, Gary's expression changed. I saw his fingers holding the wine glass turn white from the tight grip. "Elizabeth, do you really have to talk to me like this?" After saying this, his tone instantly turned pitiful, and he half-coquettishly put his arm around my waist. "Sister, you know very well that I'm sincere to you." I let him hold me, stroked his hair, and took a sip of wine from his hand. "Of course I know you're sincere to me. You're sincere in bed, sincere when you were spending my money in desperate times, and even now when you're holding me, you just don't want to marry me." Gary's face turned ashen. He took the wine glass from my hand and smashed it on the ground. The crisp sound of the glass shattering was particularly noticeable even in the noisy club. Everyone in the private box looked at us. Perhaps because they had never seen Gary get so angry, all sounds quieted down for a moment. Even the sound of breathing was clearly audible. "What are you looking at?" Gary looked around, and everyone quickly avoided his gaze. Then he turned to look at me. The flames in his eyes seemed about to burst out. "Elizabeth, is that marriage certificate really that important?" "Yes, it is." I was completely indifferent to his emotions. I just looked at him quietly. If it weren't important, Why can you give me everything except this, Gary, if you just want to have a fling? Why deceive me by saying it's true love? Gary is so good looking, no matter what expression he has, but looking at his face, I felt nothing but sorrow in my heart. If he had said we were breaking up, then there might still be a bit of true feelings for me in his heart, but instead, he, regardless of his status, resorted to any means to keep me as his mistress. What was this? This was deep affection. So much so that he couldn't wait to play with me every day and treasure me like a precious collection. I would be the apple of Gary's eye, the mole between his brows, but I would never be someone who stands on the same ground as him. Gary was obviously furious. He had grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth and had always had a smooth life, except for his parents. No one had ever made him lose face like this, perhaps because of the alcohol. Ugly words poured out of his mouth without restraint. A fling. Am I not sincere? Then are you, Elizabeth, really in love with me? You think I don't know that you initially wanted to use my identity? You've made a lot of money in the past 2 years by using my name. Which woman in this club isn't more obedient than you? I listened to Gary's words and didn't refute a single one. He had finally spoken his mind. Maybe it was because my expression was too calm, or maybe the alcohol was wearing off, although Gary was scolding me. He almost started crying as he spoke. Sister, isn't it good for us to muddle along like this? No, it isn't, Gary. I, Elizabeth, can live without love, but I can't be looked down upon. Gary sat decadently at the wine table, his long legs awkwardly propped up, his head lowered as he spoke in a muffled voice. Sister, have a child for me. This is the biggest promise I can give you. You can never be my wife, but you can be the mother of my child. I wiped away the tear hanging from the tip of Gary's nose. I couldn't help but laugh at how stupidly cute he was. He himself wasn't even grown up yet, but he was talking to me about having a child. What about your wife? How will she feel if I have a child? My answer seemed to give him hope. His speech became rapid, and his eyes stared straight at me. I won't love her, and I won't let her disturb you. I'll make a will to ensure you have no worries for the rest of your life. Getting a satisfactory answer, I smiled. I looked past Gary towards the door of the private box behind him. There stood Gary's mother and his fiancée, Miss Nicole. Auntie, Miss Nicole, did you hear that? If I stay, I will definitely be a threat to your arranged marriage. I know my place and have no intention of going against you, as long as you can help me get away from Gary. I will never set foot in B City to get in your way for the rest of my life. Gary turned his head as if struck by lightning. Mom. The bodyguards brought by Gary's mother entered the room first and controlled Gary. I respectfully invited Gary's mother and Miss Nicole to the seats in the booth. Gary's mother. I don't ask for the benefits of the Jacksons family, and I'm willing to stay away. I just ask you to give me a way out. Gary's mother looked at me with a faint smile. You're quite smart. Gary kept struggling but couldn't get close. Mom, don't agree to her. Don't let her go. Gary's mother glanced at Gary. Elizabeth, you're a very sensible person. If you were born into a family like ours, I would like you very much, and maybe we could be a very close mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I slightly lowered my head, my eyelashes drooping, with a hint of regret. Unfortunately, I'm not. Gary's mother was gentle and noble. She took out a check. Our Jacksons family isn't an extremely evil family. It's Gary who owes you. I should give you some compensation no matter what. When Gary saw what his mother was doing, his eyes widened in anger, veins almost popping out on his neck as he roared, Mom, don't force me to hate you. Gary's mother gave Gary another glare and then tore up the check with her hand. My heart sank, and I had a vague sense of foreboding. Then I heard Gary's mother speak again. This was what I originally thought. Gary's mother looked up at me with a strange look. I didn't expect Gary to like you so much now, so I won't do anything to you. I stiffened a bit, looking at her. Auntie, aren't you afraid that my presence will affect the marriage? Gary's mother smiled slightly. If I deal with you now, with Gary's personality, he will definitely resist with all his might. It's better to let him have his way for now. When he gets tired of you, I'll come back to deal with you, don't worry. The reward you'll get then will be no less than what you could get now. I forced a smile. Auntie, are you so sure that he'll get tired of me? As you can see, he likes me very much. Gary's mother turned to look at me, raising an eyebrow. I've investigated you. You should know better than any of us how long the shelf life of love is. Besides, if you're really smart, you should know your place. Gary had already been let go, and he regained his well-dressed appearance. I turned to look at Miss Nicole beside me. This was my last hope. Miss Nicole, what about you? You surely don't want your husband to have other mistresses, do you? Miss Nicole stood up with her handbag, as cold as water. It's just a business marriage. If it weren't you, it would be someone else. However, you'd better be careful not to get pregnant. As Gary's mother and Miss Nicole left one after another, Gary hugged me. He looked smug. Sister, I love you. I closed my eyes. Feeling the slightly hot temperature behind me, it seemed there was only one last way. Harvey, let's talk. The time and place to meet Harvey were arranged by his secretary. Entering the private box, I glanced at the dishes. Half of them were my favorites, and the other half were his, clearly distinct. You still owe me one thing. Do you remember? Harvey wiped his hands with a hot towel. You want me to help you get rid of Gary? No, I want you to acquire my company. I took out a slightly old-fashioned paper jewelry box from my bag, inside which was a wooden, carved ring. I rotated the tray and turned it in front of him. Acquire my company at the market price, and we'll be even. My story with Harvey is quite simple. That year, I was admitted to one of the top universities in the country. I was full of ambition, with a promising future ahead. I happened to meet Harvey, a senior from the same school. We were well matched. Like a talented man and a beautiful woman, and we got along naturally. We confirmed our relationship in less than a month. Everyone on campus envied our love. It was perfect without any flaws. But that was only on campus. Society is a comprehensive testing ground, and love accounts for less than 1/10 of it. At that time, I was still young, holding high the banner of equality for all, walking with my head held high, almost naively. I didn't know much about how good Harvey's family background was, nor did I care to know whether it was fortunate or unfortunate. Harvey was also naive enough at that time. The poor Cinderella and the noble prince fought against their families, ignored the world, and chose to elope. We believed that love could conquer all. With only 72 yuan, we came from the glamorous B city to H city, which has distinct 4 seasons. A paper, folded jewelry box and a wooden, carved ring picked up casually formed our inexpensive vows of eternal love. Fairy tales don't tell what happens after marriage. No one deliberately mentions how many trivialities of daily life there are after happily ever after. We couldn't even hold on for a year under the pressure from Harvey's family. It was a very peaceful morning. Harvey didn't wear the affordable undershirt we bought at the hypermarket after coming to H City. He put on the expensive suit he wore when he eloped with me. Elizabeth, I'm going back. Okay, our voices overlapped across time and space. I've never doubted love, but I don't believe in eternity. It's a pity. After so many years of hard work, I still have to look up at that invisible gap. And my new lover is also unfaithful. When Gary arrived, I was the only one in the private box, leisurely packing the leftovers. He was out of breath from running, and his hair was in a mess. Here. This is what you like. I've packed it all, Elizabeth. Gary shouted at me, always youthful, always as if he had eaten gunpowder. I checked the time, judging from the distance from the Jacksons' family to here. He found out I got rid of his surveillance in less than an hour. I was a bit speechless. Are you here to catch me having an affair? Gary gritted his teeth, walked over, raised his hand high, and the watch on his wrist kept flashing red. He picked up a plate and helped me pack. Who on earth did you meet? I picked up a piece of meat and held it in my mouth, speaking vaguely. My first love, my ex-boyfriend. Clatter. The plate in Gary's hand shattered on the ground. Gary has been sulking for over 10 hours. All the food we packed was thrown by him to feed the dogs. What a pity. I really liked it. After drying my hair, I was about to go to the bedroom to sleep. Gary followed me like a wandering soul. Seeing that I really didn't seem to plan to talk to him, he stood by my bedside, his tone resentful. Sister, you really don't even try to comfort me. The 188-centimeter tall figure just stood there, with more resentment than a ghost. Even with my eyes closed, his presence was so strong. I was really sleepy. It seemed that I couldn't sleep today if I didn't comfort him. I pushed the eye mask up to my forehead. We were in public, above board. We didn't even eat from the same plate. Gary shouted loudly, Then what did you go to see him for? And you got rid of my people. I pinched the bridge of my nose. To sell my company. Gary was stunned. Then he reacted and quickly got into the bed, rubbing his furry head against my neck. His tone was full of pleasantly surprised. You sold your company. You're not going back to H-City. Yes. Did he, Gary, really think he would let me go back? Seeing that I acquiesced, Gary became even more excited, his tone getting sweeter. From now on, I'll support Sister. Actually, Sister could also give the company to the Jacksons family. You don't have to worry about investments. Sister can just be a director and get paid. It's a pity that Harvey got a bargain. That's Sister's hard work. Of course, I couldn't give it to the Jacksons family. I turned my back to Gary, expressionless. It hasn't been many years since I started from scratch. Currently, my company has dozens of employees. And 80% of them are veterans who started with me from the very beginning. They're all in their prime and rely on this job to support their families. If the plan fails and the company goes bankrupt, I can start over, but my company and employees will surely be retaliated against. It's better to sell it to a wealthy family that can rival the Jacksons family. I'm just a small fry that can be easily stepped on. But Harvey's family, even the Jacksons family, has to think twice before provoking. And my past with Harvey, although not enough for him to protect me from Gary, can make him offer me a fair price under the pressure of the Jacksons family. It can also give me a promise that my employees won't lose their jobs. That's enough. Everything was simpler than I thought. First, I applied to a foreign university. I got my visa and bought my plane ticket. At the airport entrance, seeing Gary leading people rushing into the airport in a hurry, I made a detour and went to a hidden farmyard in the countryside of B-City that I had rented in advance. When I opened the door, someone was already waiting for me. It was Gary's mother. She was still as noble as when I first saw her. Elizabeth, you've chosen a good place, but it can deceive Gary, not me. I put my hand in my pocket. So, Auntie, are you going to hand me over to Gary? Gary's mother's eyes became more and more pitying, as if she was looking at a delicate flower or plant. Why would I send you back when you've worked so hard to escape? The gate of the farmyard was suddenly closed by the bodyguards. The people brought by Gary's mother surrounded me. I clenched my fists, and my palms were soaked with sweat. The heart rate monitor on my smartwatch was jumping faster and faster, emitting a piercing alarm sound. I took out the small knife from my pocket and turned to run towards the door, but I was quickly caught and pushed to the ground. And the small knife in my hand was taken away. Gary's mother squatted down, pinched my chin, and slapped me. Blame yourself for seducing my son. My heart rate was getting faster and faster, and the alarm sound was getting louder and louder. Auntie, aren't you afraid Gary will find out? Gary's mother played with the knife, still looking gentle. How could he find out? Weren't you the one trying to escape? The alarm sound reached its peak. I looked at Gary's mother and suddenly laughed. Why would Auntie think I'm trying to escape? The Jacksons family has great power and influence. I like it very much. I used Gary's mother's hand to stab the knife into my lower abdomen. Blood splattered on Gary's mother's face, shattering the calm on her face. I looked at Gary, who burst through the door, with a look of panic and fragility. Gary, I'm pregnant. Save our child. No. In my blurred vision, I saw Gary desperately holding me and breaking through the encirclement of his mother. Through the chaos, I saw the panicked expression on Gary's mother's face for the first time. I buried my head in Gary's chest, my shoulders shaking as I almost burst out laughing. Fate, even if it's tinged with blood, it has to be in my own hands. When I woke up, Gary was by the bedside, looking haggard with red-rimmed eyes. When he saw me wake up, tears streamed down his face. I'm sorry. I had never seen Gary so broken down. I wanted to touch him, but as soon as I moved slightly, the pain in my lower abdomen spread throughout my body. I felt a rare bit of pity and finally gave him a chance. Gary, let's part ways amicably. Gary held my hand, tears and snot all over his face. Sister, I'll change. I know I was wrong. I'll change everything. Don't leave me. My eyes were blank as I forcefully pulled my hand out of his. What about your mother and your fiancé? They won't let me go. Gary buried his head, and his tears soaked a large area of the bedsheet. People always grow up in the moment they bow their heads, just like Gary now. I won't listen to them anymore. I'll call off the engagement. Gary kept his word, even though I was carefully protected by him in the hospital. I could still see the news of the cancellation of the engagement between the Garys and Nicholas families, which was making a huge stir online. Naturally, the Nicholas family and Gary's mother didn't agree, but this time, Gary seemed to have grown all the rebellious bones that he hadn't had in the past 20-odd years and fought to the end. Even he, who had always been indifferent to business, started to seize power from his mother. When Gary's father passed away, Gary was too young, so the Garys group naturally fell into the hands of Gary's mother. But as Gary grew up, there were more and more voices in the company calling for the young master to take over. In the past, Gary, disdainful of money, paid no attention, but now that he wanted it, he also had 100 responses to his call. Perhaps in terms of ability, he couldn't compare to his mother, but there was me. I was lying in bed, browsing through one confidential document of Gary's group after another. While Gary served me tea and water, I looked at him with a smile. "Aren't you afraid I'll do something bad, Gary?" Gary peeled another orange for me, smiling sweeter than the orange. "I trust, sister." I took the orange, closed the document in my hand, and handed it to him. "Good boy, sign all of these." Gary carefully looked at the first few pages, then smiled at me. He didn't even look at the rest and signed all of them. He was as obedient as a pet dog, so cute, maybe because the wound hadn't fully healed. I laughed until tears came out. The celebration of the new chairman of Gary's group taking office and our wedding were held together. Gary's mother naturally came to the wedding. "You're very proud, aren't you?" She looked much haggard, slapping the table. She lost her elegance. "You poor, orphaned nobody. You're so proud of marrying into a wealthy family by any means, aren't you?" I tilted my head, admiring this reversal of positions. "Auntie, calm down, it's a happy day. It would be bad if something bad happened." Gary's mother smashed the flowers all over the ground, like a madwoman. "You were the one who ran into the knife yourself. You killed our child. You planned all of this." I nodded and added for her. "And I was the one who sent the location to Gary. Don't forget that, Auntie." Seeing that I was calm, Gary's mother grabbed her hair and screamed, "You're only after the Jacksons family's money. You have evil intentions. What on earth do you take Gary for?" I sighed. What else could it be? Of course I'm after the money. As for Gary, he's a stepping stone for me to climb up the social ladder, a ladder for me to rise. When my voice fell, there was a moment of silence all around, as if something had secretly changed. Then Gary's mother showed a strange smile, as if saying that I had finally revealed my true colors and that I was doomed. She turned around, pointed at me, and laughed maniacally. "Ha, Gary, did you hear that? Do you still want to marry this woman who's using you? She's just a bitch." Gary walked out from behind the flower stand, his face looking complicated. I looked at Gary's mother who was tidying her hair. "You set me up." Gary's mother regained her usual arrogance and sneered. "Your methods are crude, but they're quite effective. Indeed, although many things are known in our hearts, it's still unsightly when put on the table." I looked at Gary. "What about you? You heard everything. Do you still want to marry me?" Gary walked towards me. Under the increasingly delighted smile of Gary's mother, he hugged me and gave me a kiss. Of course, the smile on Gary's mother's face froze, and her expression became distorted, looking a bit comical. Then she roared, "Gary, are you crazy?" I patted Gary on the back and walked up to Gary's mother. I really felt pity for this woman who had been proud for half her life. "Auntie, I forgot to tell you, all the shares of Gary's group are in my hands now. I'm the new chairman of Gary's group." I sighed again. "Now you should beg me not to abandon Gary." Gary's mother's face turned deathly pale in an instant, but she still insisted on standing there. "I don't believe it. You can ask Gary." Gary's mother was shaking all over. She took a step back, then rushed up to Gary, grabbed his collar, gnashing her teeth, crying and hitting him. "Is it true? I'm asking you if what she said is true." Gary let his mother beat and scold him without moving, just lowering his head. "Yes." Getting an affirmative answer, Gary's mother staggered and let go, stumbling around as if she had lost all her spirit. "Crazy, really crazy. Ha, everyone's crazy." I walked up to Gary's mother, bent down to straighten her clothes, and wiped the tears from her face. "You once tried to kill me, and I won't hold it against you. I set you up, and you don't hold it against me either. You'll still be the mother in the future. You won't lack anything that the old lady of the Jacksons family should have. I promise that the next heir of Gary's group will definitely be the child of Gary and me. I walked out of the room and saw someone unexpected. Harvey. He handed me a ring box. The simple wooden ring from the past was inlaid with a diamond the size of a pigeon egg, looking rather incongruous. I held the ring up to the sunlight and was blinded by the glare. Harvey, if I hadn't succeeded, would I not even have the wooden ring? Harvey didn't say anything, but I understood his answer. I handed the ring back to him, but he didn't take it. I owe you. I sneered and threw the ring into the sink. Now we're even again. The equity transfer document of Gary's group wasn't something I tricked Gary into signing, it was on the first page of the document. I waited for Gary to fly into a rage after reading it, and then I could justifiably implement all my plans for Gary's group. But Gary clearly read everything, yet he signed without the slightest hesitation. He didn't even question me. That day, I was lying in bed, driven crazy by his calmness. I angrily told him that I could never live by love in my life. I hate having my life controlled by others, even if this person is my partner. I don't believe in eternal love. True feelings will be abandoned sooner or later. I'm even less likely to depend on others for every day of my future. What right do you wealthy families have to trample on my life like this? I said a lot. So much that it was enough to tear apart our not so solid relationship. But Gary hugged me. Then let me be the weak one. Let me be the one who might be abandoned at any time. Let me depend on you. Sister, I want to know how sad you were when I said I would keep you as my mistress. The way Gary looked at me was like a puppy offering its collar, gentle and inclusive. How could I not be moved? I've been gambling with my life since I was a child. This was the first time someone mortgaged everything to me. When the ring was put on my middle finger, I heard myself say I do. The wedding veil rose in the wind, like a ladder to the sky. My name is Gary. I have a sworn enemy named Harvey. As the heirs of two major families in B City, being of similar age, we've been compared since we were kids. I was inferior to him in everything. Everyone said that Gary's group of this generation would lose to the Cheng group, until he went to college. The public opinion about us reversed dramatically. He actually wanted to break away from his family for a scheming woman from the bottom. When people talked about us again, it became the eldest young master of the Cheng group is too smart for his own good, can't tell what's important. While the eldest young master of Gary's group is amorous but obedient. That was the first time I didn't listen to my mother. I applied for a flight route as fast as I could, and flew to H City in a private plane with my newly chosen girlfriend, whom I got after careful selection with a Hermes crocodile skin bag. I was ready to beat this down and out Harvey. Before meeting Harvey, I met Harvey's girlfriend. She was actually selling fried skewers on the street. I looked at the photo several times before I was sure that this obsequiously smiling woman was the book-loving female student in the photo. She was disheveled, not half as charming as my new girlfriend. I felt even more confident of winning. I deliberately went to the best styling studio in H City, got dressed up, and went to show off. But I happened to run into the scene of Harvey breaking up. I saw that shabby woman and the noble-looking Harvey sitting at a greasy and dirty noodle stand. A bowl of noodles was divided into two portions, but all the meat was in Harvey's bowl. Harvey took off the broken piece of wood and handed it to that woman. He walked up to me. His 188-centimeter height was quite oppressive. Harvey calmly wiped his mouth after finishing the noodles and came to me. "What are you doing here?" I pointed at the woman behind him who was crying and curled up into a ball. "Aren't you going to take care of her?" Harvey glanced at me without looking back. Instead, I stayed in H City for 3 days and found out everything about Harvey and that shabby woman in less than a year. The private detective showed me a lot of photos. 2 students who graduated from top universities in the country were so suppressed that they couldn't even find a decent job. They set up a night market stall, sold fried skewers, lived in a shared apartment. That broken piece of wood was actually their wedding ring, and their maximum savings were less than 200 yuan. They even had to share a cup of milk tea and a bowl of noodles. You mean that good for-nothing guy in room 303, his girlfriend supports him, and he doesn't do anything, not even wash his clothes. If I were his girlfriend, I'd have kicked him out long ago. The contemptuous tone in the recording pen was all engraved in my mind, ready to be used to mock Harvey when I got back. Before leaving, I deliberately went to that woman's stall, bought a skewer of fried food to take back and mock Harvey. But I couldn't resist eating it all up on the plane. Harvey was locked up at home for half a year and then was directly sent abroad. For years later, when he returned to the country, I deliberately arranged to meet him at the same wine party. I originally wanted to ask him if he wanted to eat fried skewers, but looking at him gracefully cutting the steak, I thought it was boring. I patted the two female companions on my left and right. Whichever of you can win over Harvey today, I'll reward her 5 million. That night, Harvey was almost drugged, and he reported me to my mother. My mother was so angry that she stopped all my credit cards and told me to get out of B City and fend for myself. I squatted on the roadside and thought for a long time about what to do. Finally, I used the last few hundred yuan on me to buy an economy class ticket to H City.